12 to 13 times better than you're going to get in the bank. Often what more money does, it simply amplifies the problem. No risk, no Rari. There is nothing that I'm doing in investing right now that is more risky than that.
Yeah.
It's going to be a phenomenal investment. The biggest obstacle for anybody wanting to become a successful trader is getting in that state of flux is opportunity. I say it because I've chased materialism.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. Today we're talking about Forex trading and the path to becoming a profitable trader. If you're liking this content, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Let's get into it. Everyone wants to be profitable, but what's the measuring stick? Is it percentage on your capital? Is it making more than your salary? Is it making more than the bank? How do we measure if we are profitable?
Well, first of all, it starts with a dollar amount.
Okay.
Simply winning trades is not enough. If you win 90 or 95% of your trades, but the wins are very small, and the 5% that you're losing, you lose a lot more than you're winning, in terms of the dollar amount, then it's going to land up in a net negative. So the first measure of being profitable is, are you actually making money, like dollar amount? Secondly, I would say that you have to beat all other forms of traditional investment. Otherwise, it's not worth it. If I can get between 10 to 15% annually in relatively low effort investments, where I just put my money in and my money goes to work, why would I fight and work so hard to maybe only say make 18% a year from Forex? It doesn't make sense. Even 20% per year. If you're only making 5% or 8% more than traditional investments, I would probably stick to traditional investments and focus my time on getting more money to invest into those things. So I think the measure of being profitable, first of all, is a dollar amount. And then secondly, the return on investment against the amount of capital that you've got as a percentage is very important. It is very possible and very achievable to do between 8 and 10% a month in the Forex markets if you've got proper risk management. And if you work that out annually, that's about 12 to 13 times better than you're going to get in the bank in a very, very high interest yielding investment in the bank. So I would say that the effort has to equal the reward. So if you're trading Forex and you may be only seeing 20% a year return, my argument would be, how much effort and how much risk are you exposing yourself to for that money? And there's probably better investments out there. So my goal is at a bare minimum to make 10% a month. At a bare minimum, that's my goal. Most months, I'm averaging about 30, 35 to 40% depending on it. If I average it out over the year, the last year I've been trading, I'm looking at about an average return of about 32% per month, which is phenomenal.
Averaging at 32%, that's
okay,
insane.
But to be fair, that's not normal. That's like elite trader level.
Yeah, that's someone's dream come true.
If you go look at the guys competing in the Forex World Cup in the Robbins event,
Yeah.
the top guys are returning those levels. That's why I want to enter the Robbins Cup, because if I remain consistent the way I have been and I enter, there's a very strong chance of me competing. And so I do want to point out, the reason why I'm saying this, it's the exception, not the norm.
So normal people, 10%?
I think somebody coming into Forex should conservatively say they want 8 to 10%. I say to every trader, the aspiration is 8 to 10% return. There are guys who only do 2% a month. There are guys who are very comfortable, very low risk, making 2% a month. You must understand that's 24% a year. That's 20% a year. It's a good return.
Right.
It's almost double what you're going to get out of the bank. For me though, I look at it and I go, well, I've got traditional investments that I make. So things like investing in art, investing in whiskey, investing in, crypto mining. There's a lot of alternative investments that I make that return me between 10 and 15% annually. So for me, if I'm only going to make 20% per year, I'm asking myself, is the extra 5% worth the time in the market? Is it worth the risk in the market? And the answer to me is no. I definitely want a higher return. At the same time, I am quite conservative in how I trade. So even though my returns sound like I'm taking an excessive amount of risk, I'm actually not taking that kind of risk. I'm very conservative, and that comes out of my trading style and my trading strategy, and also my drawdown on equity. I don't allow a lot of drawdown on equity, but I am finding a lot of consistency. And if I average it out over the last year, that is pretty much where I'm at. It's about 32% per month on average.
So, what's the percentage of people that actually become profitable traders?
It's very small, maybe 10%. And I don't. There's no official numbers out on it. I mean, if you go and sign up with a brokerage, the brokerage have to disclose that 78% of retail traders are losing money. I don't believe that's a true reflection of the people who are actually non-profitable and who are profitable. Because if you then go across to the prop firms and you have a look at their success and failure rates, the prop firms, more than 91% of people are actually failing prop firm challenges and are unable to get funding because they can't successfully trade consistently. So if I use it as a yardstick, I would say that probably, I would say maybe even less than 8% of people are consistently profitable over the long term. It's a very tough industry to get into, and I think it comes to a lot of things. You know, it's not necessarily the fact that the Forex industry is rigged, because everybody says, well, the reason so many people are failing is because the industry is rigged. People are failing because of partly bad education, but most importantly, bad discipline. And most people have got money problems to begin with. A lot of people come to Forex because they have a money problem, they want to make money. That's already a problem. You know, you don't give an alcoholic alcohol to solve their drinking problem, yet people think if they add money to their money problem, it's going to solve the problem. People think, well, if I just get more money, I'll solve the problem. But often what more money does, it simply amplifies the problem. People think that trading alone is the solution. Trading is a very, very small part of it. It's how you manage your money. It's how you manage your equity. It's how you spend that money. It's how do you put money aside for the months that aren't going great. It's money management and the discipline of money management.
But if the success rate is so low, why should people even try?
Well, I think with anything in life, you've got to be prepared to take some risk if you want some reward. You know, there's that Forex term that's been popularized: no risk, no Rari. No risk, no Ferrari, right? So I think there's an element of truth to that. I think if you don't take risks in life, you're not going to achieve anything. And I tell everybody who joins my workshops, my seminars, my events, when I'm sitting in front of them in person, I always say, half of this room more than likely will not make it as a trader. And you must accept that is a combination of many things. Maybe you don't have the natural talent for it. Maybe you're not that smart at numbers. Maybe you're not that smart at number and pattern recognition. Maybe you're not great at money management. Maybe you've got discipline issues. A lot of those things can be overcome with the right guidance and the right education. And that's why I say some people will take a lot longer to get it. Some people get it a lot quicker. Some people won't get it at all. And you must accept, if you let's say you fall into the percentage of people that just are not going to get it. You have to accept that's your journey in life. Not everybody is going to be a world-class athlete. Not everybody's going to be good at running long distance. Some people are long distance runners. Some people are sprinters. And so if you don't find success in Forex, that's also okay. Maybe that's not your journey. Maybe in this life, you're meant to flip burgers and be part of the system, and that's your journey. Because I do also believe in terms of a higher power and a higher energy, I don't think everybody's going to find their life path necessarily in this lifetime. And I know that's an esoterical answer, but I truly believe that if you're meant to do something, you will find your feet with it. If you are committed enough and you really want it bad enough, you will figure it out. Because you'll do the work that requires you to overcome those obstacles. For some people, they're going to have to work a lot harder than others because things don't come naturally to them. But if you are committed and you have the discipline, you definitely can make it. And so I think you've got to be prepared to take risk. But here's what I would say. The reason why we have an incubation program inside the Money Tribe is so people don't go to the market with real money. We give them the education, we give them the guidance, we give them mentorship, we give them community and access to as much content and as much conversation from people who are successfully trading, and give them the opportunity to be around that and hopefully pick up on it and become successful. But there's a percentage of people that even after that won't be successful. And I see it in our trading competitions where we put people into trading competitions that they're not trading real money, simulating the live environment with the real pressures. And every month we run one of those competitions, we see more and more people becoming successful as a percentage of the total number of traders. So I actually got asked this question on social media the other day. I made the comment of saying, in this current competition that we're running right now, which is, by the time this podcast comes out, it's going to be quite far from when we're running this initial competition. I think it's our second or third competition that we're running. The first 2 competitions, we had about maybe like a 38% success rate in people being profitable, which is still really good. I mean, if you have a look at the short amount of time they went into the content, learned from it, and then went to executing trades, it's pretty good in terms of success rate for the amount of time those people have been studying Forex. Also, if you look at it against the industry, the number's not bad. Now, by the third competition we're running, I'm seeing well over 55% of people profitable in the trading. So it shows the more time you put into things, the more time you spend with it, the better you become. And so we've seen that success rate move up from 38% up to mid-50s. That's already an improvement. And I'm willing to say by the next competition and the one thereafter, we're going to see that number grow even more. Because the guys who stick with it eventually figure it out.
Is it fair to say that people that aren't good at Forex, like myself, should maybe look into something? The next best, closest thing for me is old-fashioned investing.
Without a question.
It's safe, it's easy.
Without a question. And by the way, I still do old-fashioned investing.
Yeah.
So at the top of my risk profile is Forex. There is nothing that I'm doing in investing right now that is more risky than that.
Yeah.
So Forex, then below that, the next thing is what I classify as alternative investments. Those alternative investments are things like staking in crypto, crypto mining, investing in things like art, collectibles, just very alternative investments that are generating a higher return than traditional investments. And then further down in my risk profile is stocks, traditional stock investing, ETFs, still very safe. And then below that, the next one, which is very low returns but very, very safe, is things like government bonds, T-bills, just super, super conservative investments. And then obviously money market accounts as well for liquid cash. Those are the things where I'm focusing a lot of attention on the bottom end of my investments. But I still do the boring stuff. And so I look at this as tiers, high risk to low risk. And so if you can't operate in the high risk space, then you need to go down to the next tier that makes sense to you, put a bit more money there and put a lot of money in the bottom tier where it's very safe and conservative. So I think you have to figure out what works for you and then obviously move your investments accordingly. And even if you can't successfully trade in the Forex space, go look for alternative investments in that space where potentially there's opportunity where you might not necessarily need to trade. I'm not saying things like Forex bots or copy trading, but there are funds that you can invest into, sort of like derivative investments, where there is risk attached to it, but you're also exposing yourself to potentially better gains.
If you still want to make some money somewhere, it's better than doing nothing.
Yeah, and I mean, again, I also, because I stress this, and it's something we teach inside the Money Tribe outside of Forex, I think the single greatest investment you can make is in yourself. If you can equip yourself with a skill set that you can go and earn money with that skill set, either online or that's not geographically limited. Maybe you figure out how to teach English online, or maybe you have a little business that you build up, an online store or something. If you can buy a product for $100 and sell it for $200 and make 100% return, that's a pretty good return on investment, right? So I look at business as an opportunity to grow money as well. If you go and invest in a course and get some education and you're able to do something that makes you $2,000, $3,000 a month, I would argue that's a very good investment, right? And in fact, if you take that income over the lifespan of you earning it back to what you spent to get the education to do it, it's going to be a phenomenal investment. So I think Forex is one of many tools to help people grow wealth. for me, because I've found myself to be incredibly competent at it, it just is a no-brainer that I focus most of my attention there.
So for the people that do eventually make it,
Yeah.
what's their timeline in terms of success to become profitable?
Look, the industry average is it takes people 4 years. The average profitable trader, it takes them 4 years to find consistency. So a lot of traders will find profit during those 4 years, but they won't find the consistency in the profit. In other words, every single quarter, every single year, banging out a consistent year of returns. So there's no point you make 100% return one year and the next year you go down 150% because you're actually down a net negative of 50%. And I've had traders come to me to learn from me who've been trading for 6 or 7 years. And when I look at their P&L sheets, they're actually down net negative after 7 years. So actually, they've lost money. The opportunity cost is had they taken that money for 7 years and put it in an 8% returning investment, they would have doubled their money. They would have done better than the Forex markets. So the timeline is going to depend on everyone. Your ability to accumulate and assimilate and use information to become profitable is one part. Natural talent is another, but the other is how much time are you dedicating to it. My growth in anything I do is exponentially faster than anybody else because I commit 20 hours a day to it. You saw when I started trading Forex and started getting into it, I'd put 20 hours a day in. My family, nobody saw me. I put my head down for 4 hours a night to sleep and I got back to Forex. I obsessed about it. And so I took what probably would be a 3 or 4 year learning curve and I condensed it into months. The reason why it takes people that long is because they probably only have a couple of hours a day to put to it. So the more time you put in, the quicker you can speed things up. That is for sure. The more reps you do in your early stage of trading, in other words, understanding how the market moves and taking trades and testing and figuring things out, the quicker you're going to become profitable. But the industry standard is 4 years. And I can tell you inside the Money Tribe, we've got traders that we've turned out profitably under 90 days, consistently profitable. And they're there, they don't make a noise on social media, but if you are in our community, you'll see them talking. And they are consistently profitable after 90 days. Having said that, quite a few of them have already previously tried trading. We've also, I'd say that group is split 50-50. So 50% of people came to us who had some trading experience, not necessarily consistently profitable. Within 90 days, they found consistency. We had people who had no trading experience. And by the way, those are my favorite students because they have no bias. I don't have to overcome all the nonsense that's been put into them. They come into our platform and within 90 days, they're profitable. That's not the norm though. I do want to point that out, but I am saying it's different for everybody. So, I can teach people how to take their first profitable trade within 15 days. That doesn't mean that you're going to consistently make those profitable trades because there's a discipline issue. There's the individuals. You and I can both enter a trade at exactly the same time on the same asset at the same lot size, and we'll have a different outcome. Unless I'm telling you when to exit exactly the same as me. Because the psychology when you're in the trade, your psychology is going to be different to mine.
In terms of weighing the education versus trading live, what do you think is more important?
It's a bit like asking what came first, the chicken or the egg. Because I think you can't have one without the other. If you theoretically get the education, but you never practically practice the education that you've learned, you're one of the many people who come up to me and talk theory about trading. And I'm quite rude when people want to come and debate Forex issues with me. And I say the only thing that matters is profit. They'll be like, oh, but you're only making 10 pips a trade, or your win rate is this. And I say it doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is profit. That's the only thing that matters in this business. So I think if you simply focus on education and theory and you don't practice that and figure out how to apply it, it's meaningless getting the education. At the same time, I'll say that if you go straight to practical and actually trading, it doesn't mean you're going to get the education. If you're simply hitting buy and sell with no understanding of why you're hitting buy and sell in the first place, it's like a monkey with a machine gun. There is no system, there is no process, there is no way of figuring out what works. Some people might get lucky over time, but for the average person, I would say get the education first, go to demo trading, prove that you can consistently do it, go live trading. Like we said, it's like the person wanting to become a doctor. Read the book, practice on a dead body, then go to the live body. Don't read the headline of the book, you can become a doctor, and go straight to cutting people open, like actual live human beings. You've got to, there is no one without the other. You cannot have one without the other. They are intertwined and equally important.
And what are some of the biggest obstacles to overcome to becoming profitable?
The biggest obstacle for anybody wanting to become a successful trader is getting over your own bullshit and reflecting on your own inequalities, insecurities, and inefficiencies. And I am at the point where I don't want friends who are not profitable traders. Because for me, it's actually a very quick way to eliminate who's done the work on themselves. If somebody is a consistently profitable trader, you'll find that they're emotionally even killed. You will find that they don't get to cocksure of themselves. They're actually pleasant people to be around because they've had to look in the mirror and self-reflect. And those are the exact kind of people I want around me. It's the person I want to be. It's the person I strive to be every single day. And so trading is not about becoming a better trader. It's about becoming a better person. And I think that if there is one thing beyond the money benefit of trading, this has to be it. It forces you to be a better person.
You said previously that you must focus not on the process, not on the profit. Why do you say that?
This is a lot like love making. If you focus on the end result and only the end result, you're probably going to land up with a lot of bad partners, right? It's about dating, getting to know the person. It's about the process. And if you have ever been in love, like we have,
Like we are.
well, you always remind me and say that it's not like we're dating anymore. It's a different kind of love. But I'm talking about that early love. There is nothing more exciting than figuring someone out and learning the little nuances and the enjoyment of that process. There is nothing like new love. That process is thrilling. And unless you land up remarrying, getting divorced, you're probably only going to experience it a few times in your life. And it's absolutely magical. It's like having young children. You're only going to have that experience once in your life. With Forex trading, it's very similar. You're only ever going to have that process of becoming profitable once in your life. Once you become profitable, a lot of the excitement dies down. It's a lot like any other business. It's repeat. It's doing things all the time a very similar way. It's like eating pasta for dinner every single night.
But does that really matter? Because if you're making money, like...
It does
That's
matter
important.
because once you make enough money, money alone is not the goal. Once you make enough money to do all the things you want to do, then money alone is an empty goal.
Then
even in
are you
Forex
saying it
trading.
becomes boring?
It does become boring. My trading is incredibly boring. If somebody had to watch me trade in the morning, it is incredibly boring. My heart rate doesn't even go up anymore when I enter a trade. My heart rate doesn't go up anymore when I go into drawdown. I don't know what that feels like anymore.
Does it matter if you're making about 32% a month? Because...
Well, it does, because for a lot of people to get that feeling, it's human instinct. We will start chasing higher risk.
Oh, so there's a dangerous side to it. That's what
Exactly.
you're saying. Okay.
Probably the same reason people cheat.
Oh,
Because,
you're right.
they're looking for that excitement in life. And I think the reason why I say focus on the process and not the result, not the profits. Most people come in wanting to make profits and they're so fixated on the end goal that they don't see how important the steps are in terms of getting there. And because they're so fixated on profit and making money, so I'm not making money, and that becomes a point of frustration. When what you actually should be focusing on is, how do I find the low risk setups in trading that consistently make me profit? So again, to use an analogy, I come back to fishing. If I tell you every single day that at this fishing hole you will catch 2 fish, you'll be very happy initially, it's very exciting, you feed your family, it's wonderful. But if you're a true fisherman, like most people, at some point you want to go into the deep blue and catch a really big fish. And that's the risk. So you need to learn to enjoy the process while you still can. Focus on the process of becoming profitable. Enjoy the pain. Enjoy the suffering. And I know it sounds like a crazy thing to say, because most people don't want the pain and the suffering. But I envy anybody who's going through pain and suffering. I envy people who are figuring things out. Because we as human beings don't learn from a place of comfort. We learn from a place of discomfort. So enjoy the journey, enjoy the process. Focus on the process and the profits will come. Focus on the profits and the process won't come. And the thing that leads you to profits is the process.
Are you consuming educational content still to help you become more profitable?
No.
Are you consuming any educational content?
No.
So your Forex learning journey has come to a standstill?
No.
So what kind of content are you consuming to improve your trading?
I definitely listen to broad spectrum economics.
Okay.
Because the whole geopolitical landscape is changing. The global economy is changing. We're in a state of flux. And in that state of flux is opportunity. Do I need to learn how to trade Forex at this point? No. Do I need to learn how to make better entries and better exits at this point? No. Those things I've got a relatively good handle on. What can I do to not improve my trading, to ensure that I stay consistently profitable and ahead of the game? That comes to paying very close attention to what's happening in the real world. So I am studying underlying economies, I'm studying underlying economics, and I'm studying the people that are moving the markets. Because I don't necessarily want to be the whale in the market. I want to be the very happy, fast-moving shark that swims underneath the killer whale and grabs its slice of the market. I understand my place in the ecosystem. I understand my place in the market. I'm not trying to be something I'm not. And I have no aspirations of being BlackRock. I don't want that problem. Even if that were achievable in my lifetime, I wouldn't want it. I know my place. I know where I want to be. And so, do I want to make 60% a month consistently or 70% a month? Honestly speaking, no. I'm happy making 32% a month consistently. I'm very happy with it. And grateful and humbled. And because my risk tolerance is low, those returns relative to my risk that I'm taking has got me in a very comfortable place. Not comfortable as in complacent, comfortable as in the risk that I'm exposed to versus the returns that I'm making, I'm comfortable. And so all I'm looking to do to grow my income is not grow my risk, it's grow my capital. And that leads to the next part. The part that I'm really studying outside of Forex is the underlying business and market around Forex. What do brokerages look like on a deeper level? I'm looking at the option of becoming my own family office, managing my own capital, not through a broker, but I essentially become my own broker and take that liquidity to the market directly. I'm looking at potential for a private equity hedge fund for me to grow this thing out as assets under management, as opposed to just being a standalone trader. I'm looking at how do I leverage technology and the collective human capital to grow businesses within the business. All related to Forex. But if you ask me, am I consuming any more Forex education? No. Why am I going to muddy the waters if I have something that works?
Okay.
I don't need to go look at somebody else's trading strategy and go, oh, maybe I should think about it. Guys say this to me all the time. I've got this trading strategy. What do you think about this? Do you see that guy's strategy? I don't care. I don't care. And when guys are doing that, I question them as to whether they're actually consistently profitable. Because if you are consistently profitable, why are you still hunting around for strategy? I've found what works for me. I don't need to change it. I do the same thing every morning between 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock in the morning in the Asian session. And I either get my trades or I don't get my trades. And 80% of the time I get my trades and 20% I don't and I lose. Overall, I'm net positive on my P&L.
The new money of the world, when you become profitable at trading, it's become synonymous with going out and buying a Lamborghini, getting champagne, getting a new modern apartment, etc.
I feel like you're baiting me into something here that's going to piss people off on social media.
No, I'm not. I'm just giving you context to what people are actually doing when they become profitable, right?
Okay.
What was the first decision you made when you realized you're actually consistently making money every day? Because it was not a Lamborghini.
Okay, I'm glad you worded that question that way because I don't want to go at anyone.
No, I know that.
Actually, let me have a go. So I will answer the question, but I'm answering this for context and relevance to what I would like people to aspire to.
Okay.
Social media creates a very skewed reality. A lot of the people driving the Lamborghinis and the fancy cars are doing it as a marketing tactic to get you to buy their course, to get you to buy their bot, to get you to fucking take their magic indicator, right? And I know somebody will come at me and say, but you're doing exactly the same thing. Well, you could argue that, but if you understand the structure of the money tribe, we don't make any money from the money tribe. Virtually all of that money goes back to building that community. It's a legacy project for me. I don't need people's subscriptions to make money. I make money from trading. So I think the skewed thing is you see a lot of that, but a lot of that is marketing and not reality. That's what I'm trying to say. Yes, there are those guys who genuinely go buy the Lamborghini because they've made money in Forex and they're enjoying it, and you probably don't see it on social media. And I know one or two of them. Very few, but I know one or two. You won't see them on social media, and they do have the car that they always dreamed of. They do live in the house that they always dreamed of. But they're not consuming that thing to bring people to their product. Okay? So to answer your question, what is the first big purchase or change of thought that I had the moment I found consistency in the Forex market? It's the complete opposite to everybody else. I got rid of everything. I decided to get rid of every single material possession. One suitcase, one backpack, one laptop, one portable monitor, one iPhone. I got a couple of pairs of black t-shirts, a couple of pairs of shorts. That's why I'm always in the same thing. And the reason why is because the thing that I've always chased in my entire life has been freedom. And we will be going over the next couple of months and exploring the world, traveling, seeing things, building businesses on other continents, engaging in interesting conversations and discussions with people I've been wanting to get around for a very long time, and taking ourselves out of the material world. So the strange thing is, with the opportunity to get anything materially that I've ever wanted, the thing that I chose to get was the complete opposite. Total and utter freedom from materialism. Does that mean I won't have nice things? Of course I will. People don't know how much my underpants cost. People don't know how much my shoes cost. People don't know the things that I wear because I'm generally quite understated. I'm not doing that so everybody can see it. I'm doing it for me. I choose to spend potentially a ridiculous amount of money on, let's say, a shirt. Not because I want to be seen in that shirt, because that shirt I know is good quality and it feels nice on my body and it's comfortable. In fact, I try and choose for the most part things that I purchase and consume now that nobody will know that it's actually worth anything.
But to be fair, if you have never had money and suddenly start making so much money, all people that I've ever met, they always go to one extreme, which is
You're
buy
gonna do some
everything,
dumb shit.
buy the craziest stuff and enjoy yourself. And then come to this point where managing all this stuff is so insane that you go to the other extreme, which is exactly where you went.
I'm yet to meet somebody who didn't come from poverty, who didn't go and buy all the shit they ever wanted. But I don't meet a lot of people who got out of poverty and were able to escape the poverty mindset and let go of the material things. When I make comments on social media to piss people off, and I do it intentionally because I want to get conversations started, I want to get underneath people's skin and open their train of thought. When I say NAS 30, I know it's not NAS 30, I know it's US 30. People think I'm stupid. I drop that in intentionally in my videos to get conversations started. I say very specific, I even overemphasize my lisp at times just to get people's attention, because I understand this is a wide net that I have to cast to eventually bring people to a place of sanity. I will get as many people so I can get the few who really want change in their lives. So I go in my own journey and I go, let's talk about some of the extreme things I've done. House number 29 I've owned and sold. Not rented, owned, lived in, and sold.
Very extreme.
I mean, there was a time when I would sell and buy a house 3 times a year. Okay, to be fair, that part of my life I was doing it for profit. Get in, fix a house up, live in it for a bit, get it out, get it flogged. But overall, I've lived in and owned 29 houses. I've owned 61 cars. At one time, I had 6 cars at once. At one time, I had a boat and 2 jet skis, sports cars, and towing vehicles for the boats and jet skis. I know how insane you can be when you haven't had money and you get it. I'm very grateful to the universe and the higher powers that be, that they granted me this journey in life to make mistakes early. I made those mistakes early. So when I talk about these things, I'm not being insulting. It's coming from a place of I've actually made the mistakes. I don't talk about anything I haven't done myself and failed and messed up at. And so when I say to people, chase freedom and not materialism, I say it because I've chased materialism. How many suits do I really need? So, I mean, I'm telling you as a guy who went and had, 20 suits tailored, that my collection of suits was worth more than most people's homes when I was aggressive in business in my early 30s. Went to Savile Row, had suits tailored, spent excessive amounts of money. How many suits do I own now?
2 or 3.
2.
Yeah.
One for the day, one for the night. One for weddings, one for funerals. 2 suits, right? Because I realized the excess makes no sense. After you get the 20, 30 suits, you'll end up using the same 2 suits every time.
What's your backup plan? You cannot trade anymore.
I still haven't touched one single solitary cent of the Forex profits I've been making. I've taken that money, put some of it back to the market, and put a lot of it back to traditional investments. Diversified to get other forms of sovereignty. And so my advice to anyone, if you figure out Forex and you become profitable, don't be a dodo about it. Don't be like every other young, stupid person with money. Don't be like every other person who gets and just is like a pig at the feeding trough. Go and have 1 or 2 nice things. Go and have 1 or 2 nice things. Enjoy it, but within reason. This year, my goal is 20% of whatever I make, I will enjoy, and 80% will go back to investments. And I think even that is excessive. I don't think that is necessary. I think 20% even is excessive.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that. If you'd like to drop a question or comment down below, please. And if you'd like to see more, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And if you like this content, you know which button to hit. We'll see you next time.